There's a truth the wealthy never speak out loud, because the moment you understand it, their power weakens. Let me tell you what they don't want you to know. Most people believe the economy is fair, that if you work hard, save your money, and play by the rules, you'll eventually get ahead. But here's the brutal reality. The system isn't designed for you to get ahead. It's designed to keep you exactly where you are, working, spending, owing, repeating. The game is rigged. Not in some hidden conspiracy, but right out in the open, disguised as normal. They call it opportunity, but it's extraction. They call it the American dream, but it's a treadmill. They call it meritocracy, but it's a caste system with better marketing. And you're the fuel. Your labor powers their wealth. Your debt funds their investments. Your compliance keeps the machine running. Every dollar you earn, they've already calculated how to take it back. Through rent, through interest, through inflation, through 1,000 small cuts you've been conditioned to accept as normal. You feel it, don't you? That nagging sense that something's wrong, that no matter how hard you work, you're always behind, that the rules don't quite add up. That's because they don't. The rules were never written for you to win, they were written to keep you playing. Machiavelli understood this 5 centuries ago when he wrote The Prince. He knew that power doesn't share itself willingly, it protects itself. And the most effective protection isn't force, it's making people believe the system is fair when it's anything but. What I'm about to reveal are the 7 brutal truths about the silent war between the rich and the poor. 7 principles the wealthy use to stay wealthy while keeping everyone else broke. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. It's not fought with weapons, it's fought with laws, with culture, with education, with the slow, invisible transfer of wealth from those who work to those who own. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. This isn't motivation, this is strategy. Here's the first truth they don't want you to see. The system wants you predictable. The rich don't fear your ambition, they fear your unpredictability. Here's what most people miss. The modern economy isn't designed to reward hard work. It's designed to reward compliance. You wake up at the same time, commute to the same place, perform the same tasks, receive the same paycheck. Month after month, year after year. And the system loves you for it, because predictable people are profitable people. Think about it. Every institution you interact with profits from your routine. Banks know when you'll overdraft. Credit card companies know when you'll make minimum payments. Employers know you won't leave because you have bills to pay. Landlords know you'll always find a way to make rent. Your predictability is their business model. The wealthy operate differently. They don't trade time for money. They don't follow schedules they didn't create. They don't seek permission to build wealth. And most importantly, they're never where the system expects them to be. While you're climbing a ladder they built, they've already moved to a different building. Consider 2 people. Both start with nothing. One gets a job, saves money, follows the traditional path. 40 years later, they retire with a pension, if they're lucky. The other refuses the ladder entirely. They start businesses that fail, pivot, try again. They make mistakes loudly and often. 10 years later, they're financially free. The difference wasn't intelligence or privilege. It was willingness to be unpredictable. And this is why most people stay broke. Not because they don't work hard, but because they're too predictable. The system has already calculated your next move, accounted for your income, and positioned itself to capture your wealth the moment you earn it. You're not a player in this game. You're a resource. So what's the alternative? Break the pattern. Do what they don't expect. Start something they can't control. Build income streams they can't tax at the source. Move before they can position against you. The moment you become unpredictable, you stop being profitable to them. And that's when you start becoming profitable to yourself. But here's the next problem. Even if you break free from predictability, the system has another trap waiting. But here's the next brutal truth. Money flows upward by design. The economy isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, just not for you. Most people think money circulates, that it moves around the economy, touching everyone fairly. But that's not how it works. Money flows upward, always, by design. You earn $1, and before you can even hold it, it's already being siphoned away. Taxes, rent, debt, subscriptions, inflation. By the time you're done, that dollar is back in the hands of those who already have millions. Here's the brutal mechanism. You work for a corporation. They pay you a fraction of the value you create. You take that paycheck and pay rent to a landlord who owns 10 properties. You buy groceries from a chain owned by billionaires. You finance a car from a bank that profits from your interest. You pay taxes that fund subsidies for corporations. Every transaction moves money from your pocket into theirs. And it's not accidental. The tax code is written to favor asset owners over wage earners. Inflation punishes savers and rewards debtors, but only the kind of debt the rich use. The housing market is structured so renters build equity for landlords, not themselves. Student loans trap an entire generation in decades of payment plans. The system isn't broken, it's working perfectly for them. Look at history. The Medici family in Renaissance Florence didn't get wealthy by working harder than peasants. They controlled the flow of money. They positioned themselves at the choke points of commerce. Every transaction in the city touched their hands. Machiavelli watched this firsthand and understood. Wealth isn't about labor, it's about positioning. The modern equivalent? Landlords don't work harder than renters. They just own the asset. Investors don't labor more than employees. They just control capital. CEOs don't generate more value than workers. They just occupy the position where value accumulates. The system is designed so money flows toward ownership, not effort. And this is why you can work yourself to exhaustion and still stay broke. You're not positioned where money flows. You're positioned where money leaves. Every paycheck is a temporary stop before that wealth continues its journey upward. So what's the alternative? Stop being where money leaves and start being where money arrives. Own assets, control income streams. Position yourself at the points where value accumulates, not where it's extracted. Stop trading time for money and start building systems that capture money while you sleep. But even if you understand this, there's a deeper trap most people never escape. Education is a control tool, not a liberation tool. They don't teach you how to get rich. They teach you how to stay useful. Most people spend 12 years in school, maybe 16 if they go to college. And what do they learn? How to follow instructions, how to sit still, how to ask permission, how to trade their time for grades and later for paychecks. They're taught to be employees, consumers, and taxpayers, not owners, investors, or free thinkers. Here's the truth. The education system wasn't designed to liberate you. It was designed during the Industrial Revolution to create obedient factory workers, people who show up on time, follow orders, don't ask too many questions, and accept hierarchy. That system is still running today. Same structure, same outcome. It produces compliant workers, not wealthy individuals. Think about what's never taught in school: how to start a business, how to invest, how taxes actually work, how to build wealth, how to negotiate, how to think independently. Instead, you learn calculus you'll never use, memorize dates for tests you'll forget, and spend years preparing for a job market that will undervalue you the moment you enter it. Meanwhile, the children of the wealthy get a different education, not in classrooms, but at dinner tables, in boardrooms, through internships at family businesses. They learn how money works, how to leverage debt, how to read contracts, how to think like owners. By the time they're 25, they've already learned what you were never taught. Consider two students. One graduates with honors, gets a corporate job, works hard, and climbs the ladder. 30 years later, they're middle management with a mortgage and a 401k. The other drops out, starts a business, fails twice, succeeds once. 10 years later, they've built generational wealth. The difference? One was educated to be useful. The other educated themselves to be free. And this is why credentials don't equal wealth. A degree proves you can follow instructions, not that you can build an empire. The system wants you educated just enough to be productive, but not so much that you question why you're working for someone else's dream instead of your own. So what's the alternative? Self-educate on the things that matter. Learn how money moves, study the tax code, understand leverage, read books the system doesn't assign. Seek mentors who've actually built wealth, not professors who theorize about it. Education is powerful, but only when it's the right education. But even self-education won't save you if you fall into the next trap. Debt is modern slavery. They don't need chains anymore. They have interest rates. Debt is sold as opportunity. Need a car, take a loan, want a house, get a mortgage. Education, student loans, starting a business, credit cards. At every stage of life, you're taught that debt is normal, even smart. But here's the brutal truth. Debt isn't a tool for building wealth. It's a tool for extracting it. The math is simple. You borrow $10,000. Over 5 years, you pay back $15,000. That extra $5,000, that's your future sold at a discount. Every dollar you pay in interest is a dollar you can't invest, can't save, can't use to build freedom. And the system knows this. They want you in debt, because debt creates desperation, and desperation creates compliance. Think about how it works. You need a car to get to work, so you finance it. Now you have a monthly payment, which means you need to keep your job, which means you can't take risks, can't start a business, can't walk away from a toxic workplace. The debt doesn't just cost you money, it costs you options. And without options, you're not free. You're obedient. This is the modern version of slavery. No physical chains, no explicit ownership, just financial obligation that controls your behavior as effectively as any shackle. You work not because you want to, but because you have to. And the system profits every month you stay trapped. Look at student loans. Millions of people spend decades paying for an education that was supposed to liberate them. Instead, they graduate into a job market that undervalues them. With debt they can't discharge even in bankruptcy. They spend their 20s and 30s not building wealth, but servicing debt. That's not opportunity. That's extraction disguised as investment. Now contrast that with how the wealthy use debt. They borrow against assets to buy more assets. They use other people's money to multiply their wealth. They write off interest as a business expense. Their debt makes them richer. Your debt makes them richer too, just in a different way. And this is why you can have a job, a paycheck, a budget, and still never get ahead. Because a portion of your income is always spoken for before you even see it. You're not working for yourself. You're working for your creditors. So what's the alternative? Avoid consumer debt entirely. If you must borrow, borrow to acquire assets that generate income, not liabilities that drain it. Understand the difference between good debt and bad debt. And most importantly, recognize that staying out of debt is one of the most radical acts of financial rebellion you can commit. But even if you escape debt, there's another, more subtle trap. They sell you comfort, not freedom. Comfort is the enemy of wealth, and they know it. The system doesn't want you miserable. Miserable people revolt. Instead, it wants you comfortable, just comfortable enough that you don't risk changing anything. Not wealthy, but not desperate either. Comfortable. And comfort is the most profitable state they can keep you in. Think about how it works. You get a decent job, decent pay, benefits, stability. You can afford an apartment, a car, maybe a vacation once a year. It's not wealth, but it's not poverty either. And that's the trap. Because as long as you're comfortable, you won't risk it. You won't start the business. You won't make the bold move. You won't bet on yourself. The system gives you just enough comfort to keep you from chasing actual freedom. This is psychological warfare. They dangle comfort in front of you, a salary, health insurance, a retirement plan 40 years away. And in exchange, you surrender your most valuable years. You trade the possibility of freedom for the guarantee of comfort. And by the time you realize the trade wasn't fair, you're too deep in to turn back. Look at the lifestyle trap. Nice car, bigger apartment, brand name clothes, eating out, subscriptions. None of it makes you wealthy, but it makes you feel successful. And that feeling is enough to keep you grinding. You're not building assets. You're funding a lifestyle you can barely afford, working harder to maintain comfort you've been sold as success. The wealthy understand this. They live below their means. They delay gratification. They invest in assets, not appearances. While you're upgrading to impress people who don't care, they're buying rental properties, building businesses, stacking investments. They're not more disciplined, they're just playing a different game. Consider two people making the same income. One spends it all maintaining a lifestyle. New phone every year, leasing a luxury car, expensive dinners, designer everything. The other lives modestly, invests the difference, and within 10 years owns assets that generate passive income. One is comfortable, the other is free. The difference? One chose comfort, the other chose freedom. And this is why comfort is dangerous. It's the cage you build for yourself, one purchase at a time. The system doesn't have to trap you. You trap yourself by choosing short-term pleasure over long-term power. So what's the alternative? Reject the comfort trap. Live below your means. Invest the difference. Build assets that create freedom, not liabilities that demand maintenance. Delay gratification now so you can have actual wealth later. Comfort is a drug, and the system is the dealer. But even if you resist comfort, there's a deeper game being played. The rich play a completely different game than you. You're playing checkers, they're playing chess. Same board, different rules. Most people think the rich are just better at the game, smarter, harder working, more disciplined. But here's the truth. They're not playing the same game as you. They're playing by completely different rules, and you were never taught those rules exist. You trade time for money. They trade systems for wealth. You worry about losing your job. They own the companies. You save after tax dollars. They write off expenses before taxes touch them. You invest in mutual funds with high fees. They invest in private deals with asymmetric upside. You follow rules. They influence the people who write the rules. It's not about intelligence, it's about information. They know loopholes you've never heard of. They have access to deals you'll never see. They operate in networks you'll never enter. And most importantly, they understand that wealth isn't built through labor. It's built through ownership, leverage, and control. Think about taxes. You get a paycheck. Taxes are taken before you touch the money. What's left is yours to spend. The wealthy? They earn through businesses, write off expenses, defer income, structure holdings to minimize taxes, and only pay on what's left. Same country, same tax code, completely different outcome, because they're playing a different game. Or look at investment. You're told to put money in a 401k, wait 40 years, and hope the market cooperates. They're investing in startups, real estate syndications, private equity, deals that can 10 times in 5 years. You're playing the long, slow game because that's what you were taught. They're playing for exponential returns because that's what actually builds wealth. Consider two people. One works a corporate job, maxes out their 401k, saves diligently, and retires at 65 with maybe 2 million if they're lucky. The other starts businesses, reinvests profits, uses leverage, builds equity, and retires at 40 with 20 million. Same amount of time, different games, different outcomes, and this is why hard work alone will never make you rich. You're playing a game where the maximum reward is comfort. They're playing a game where the maximum reward is generational wealth. And unless you realize you're playing the wrong game, you'll spend your life wondering why effort doesn't equal outcome. So what's the alternative? Stop playing their game. Learn the rules of the game the wealthy actually play. Shift from earning income to building equity, from saving after-tax dollars to investing pre-tax, from trading time to building systems. The game is different, but it's not secret. It's just not taught. But even if you learn the rules, there's one final brutal truth. Here's the final brutal truth. Breaking free requires breaking rules. The system rewards obedience. Wealth rewards defiance. Here's the final truth they'll never tell you. You can't get rich by following the rules. Because the rules were written by people who are already rich, to keep themselves rich and keep you working. Every regulation, every norm, every should and must is designed to maintain the status quo. And if you obey, you stay exactly where you are. Think about it. The rules say, get a degree, get a job, save 10%, invest in index funds, work for 40 years, retire. That's the path they endorse. And where does it lead? To modest comfort at best. Not wealth, not freedom, just survival with a pension, if you're lucky. The wealthy didn't follow that path. Bezos didn't climb a corporate ladder. Musk didn't max out his 401k. Zuckerberg didn't wait for permission. They broke rules. They defied convention. They bet everything on themselves when everyone said it was reckless. And they won. Not because they were smarter, but because they were willing to do what others weren't. Now, this doesn't mean break the law. It means break the unspoken rules of conformity. Start a business when everyone says, get a stable job. Invest in yourself when they say you're being selfish. Take calculated risks when they say play it safe. Ignore the timeline society prescribes, college by 22, married by 30, kids by 35, retired by 65. That timeline builds a life, not a fortune. Look at every major wealth builder in history. They all share one thing: they defied expectations. Rockefeller broke the rules of oil. Carnegie broke the rules of steel. Machiavelli himself broke the rules of political philosophy by telling the truth instead of the comfortable lie. Breaking rules isn't reckless, it's required. Consider two people again. One follows every piece of conventional advice, works hard, saves money, stays safe. 40 years later, they're comfortable but not free. The other ignores conventional advice, takes big swings, fails twice, succeeds once. 10 years later, they're wealthy. The difference? One obeyed, the other defied. And this is the final trap of the system. It punishes rule breakers in the short term, mocks them, doubts them, calls them foolish. But in the long term, it rewards them. Because wealth doesn't come from doing what everyone else does. It comes from doing what everyone else won't. So what's the alternative? Stop seeking permission. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop following a playbook written by people who want you predictable. Take the risk they told you not to take. Build the business they said would fail. Bet on yourself when no one else will. The system wants obedience. Wealth demands defiance. Now that you've seen all 7 principles, let's talk about what this means for you. By now, you understand the game. The silent war between the rich and the poor isn't fought with weapons. It's fought with systems, with rules, with the slow, invisible extraction of your time, energy, and wealth. They don't need to oppress you overtly. They just need you predictable, indebted, comfortable, and obedient. And for most people, that's enough. But not for you. Not anymore. Imagine waking up 6 months from now. You've stopped playing their game. You've built something they can't control. A business, an investment portfolio, a skill set that commands real value. You're no longer trading time for money. You've positioned yourself where money flows toward you, not away. You've stopped chasing comfort and started building freedom. While others are still trapped, still complaining about their jobs, still drowning in debt, still waiting for a system to save them that was never designed to, you'll be operating from a completely different level. You'll see opportunities they can't see. You'll move in ways they can't predict. You'll build wealth they can't understand. This is when everything changes. You're no longer one of them. You're no longer fuel for someone else's empire. You've crossed into something higher, not because you got lucky, not because you were born into it, but because you saw the war, understood the battlefield, and refused to stay a casualty. The silent war continues, but now you're armed. So remember this: the system doesn't want you to win. It wants you working, spending, owing, and repeating. It wants you just comfortable enough not to revolt, just desperate enough not to stop. And it will keep you there as long as you let it. But you don't have to let it. You can break the pattern. You can refuse the game. You can build something they don't control. The choice has always been yours. You just didn't know you had one. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Every day you delay is another day the system tightens its grip. Pick one principle from this video. Apply it today. Break one rule. Defy one expectation. Take one step toward freedom instead of comfort. As Machiavelli would whisper from across the centuries, the powerful stay powerful by convincing you the game is fair. The moment you stop believing that lie, you stop being their resource, and you start becoming their competition. The war is silent, but your move doesn't have to be.